Yes. So how are you, James?
Pretty good, pretty good. Surviving the stir craziness of this period that we're living through. Pretty
And
well,
you are COVID negative as far as you know?
as far as I know, but I've not been tested. So, although
Yes.
my I just got a email this morning that says that my health insurance provider will be providing apparently these 5-minute tests to all of its members if they need to come in for any other purpose. So that
Antibody
appears,
tests.
yeah,
Antibody tests? Oh,
yeah,
that's
that
beautiful.
that does appear to be quite a thing. Scripps Health has just announced that you come into Scripps, you're going to get the test.
Okay.
So cool.
So I want to give the little preamble because I know you and I in the kind of, but we've been messaging about
Yeah.
our take on this whole thing. And, for the record, you and I have sort of disagreed about whether lockdown was at all necessary or a good measure during this time period. But this morning, we have the great pleasure and I think honor of speaking to a couple of doctors who are part of the solution that I think you and I agree upon going forward, which is that we do need to get out of this lockdown that some politicians would like to make perpetual. And we want also to provide as much information or get as much information for people so that they can go back to work safely.
Right.
And
Exactly right.
yeah, so the two doctors that we get to speak to this morning are part of the solution to that. And I'm really excited to be able to speak with them. It's going to be Doctors Max Diamond and Nicholas Jauregui. They are two of the principals of a startup in Orange County that's called COVID COVID19TEST.EXPERT. That's what the business is called. And we are joined right now by Dr. Nicholas Jauregui and Dr. Max Diamond. Welcome, gentlemen. I want to make sure that your audio is unmuted so that we can hear you and not
Yeah.
just see you.
Welcome, real heroes. Yeah.
Yes, welcome to both of you. Can you hear
Thank
me
you.
okay?
Yep.
Yes, we sure can.
Okay, thanks so much for joining us here today. And as I was communicating with you guys before when we were on the phone, I have just really some basic questions for you guys, a list of basic questions. Both James and I see what you guys are doing as a crucial part of the solution going forward to get us all back to work as soon as possible. And so I just wanted to ask you a little bit, can you give us a little bit about your backgrounds in medicine? And in particular, what was it that brought you guys together to work on this project of offering testing and, in effect, certification for individuals and businesses so they can get back to work?
Yes, Amy and James, thank you so much. Again, I'm Dr. Nicholas Jauregui, and I'm one of the co-founders of COVID19TEST.EXPERT. And Max and I have been working together for a number of years. Max is one of the senior chief medical officers at one of the large medical groups. And I've been working in the field of wellness and palliative care, taking care of the sickest of the sick, the most ill patients in our community. And we have collaborated for many years, I'm sure over 5 years, in taking care of these patients as a team. And we became compelled watching the terrible situation that's going on in our community, both with our healthcare providers, with the patients, our friends and family and businesses, all suffering tremendously from the COVID-19 virus.
Am I right that your patients are among what people would call the most vulnerable?
Yes.
Okay.
We take care of patients that are, the most vulnerable. These are patients that are homebound. Most of them are seniors with significant illnesses, immunosuppression. These are the sickest of the sick that we take care of throughout the continuum of care, in the hospital, in the home setting. And so Dr. Diamond, who oversees one of the largest medical groups in California, as one of the senior physicians there, he and I collaborate closely on these things. And when we both noted the destruction of what's happening to families' livelihoods, watching what's happened to our patients, their families, we really felt compelled. We had to do something. We had to take what resources we've been blessed with as doctors and start to make a difference to get patients, families back to work, to get, businesses are really suffering. Individuals are really suffering tremendously. And so we see the path moving forward with COVID19TEST.EXPERT as a way of, it's really a wellness program to help people have information, to be empowered with information, to make their workplaces safe, to make their environment safe. Everybody's going to have to follow, safe practices. But right now, what we really want to do is empower them with information.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
so
knowledge is
that's
power, right?
something.
Knowledge is power, they always say. And
Knowledge
it's
is
for a
power.
reason, yeah.
If you know what your antibody status is, to the best that you can get that, if you can know whether you have the virus, this gives you information that you can now utilize to keep your work environment safe, to be able to go back to work, to build confidence in the community and those around you. Max, maybe you can talk a little bit about your background, but this is something that we really see this as an opportunity to do our part, among others doing their part, to get people back to work, get the economy going back again, really empower people with information.
Yes, because you don't want, when everybody goes out there, for the curve to go up exponentially again, which maybe is a possibility, and at the same time you want people just to have the peace of mind and confidence going forward as well. Dr. Diamond, you had something to add?
Yeah, absolutely. No, Nick, you said that very well. We really got started because our own families are unemployed at this time. And I don't mean my immediate family, but my extended families across the country. And they are part of that 17 million Americans that have filed for unemployment just in the last 3 weeks. They are facing economic challenges, as I believe just about the entire country is. And we were asked as leaders repeatedly, what are we going to do about this problem? And Nick is right at the front line taking care of very ill patients. I feel like I'm at the front line managing the resources to be sure we get the resources to these individuals, but that wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And we were asked for what the other side of this is going to look like and how we can help get there, and really to help find a way home, right?
Yes.
Find a way home for everybody.
So with that said, what exact services are you guys offering? I've heard it's maybe kind of shifted a little bit in terms of what you're listing on your website, but what are you offering for businesses and what are you offering for individuals?
Well, the key thing I think is an assessment. We do a risk assessment. So different companies are going to have different levels of risk. And so we're going to be giving different recommendations based on those risks. And, of course, that includes assessing how close employees are working together in that business. Again, there's a whole spectrum. And of course, testing. We're adapting to the changing technologies, but it includes, if people go onto the website, the COVID19TEST.EXPERT, they can see, okay, I can be tested as an individual. I can have someone come to my home. Again, we're not testing sick people. These are well people that can come out of their home. We can test them both for the antibody test and the test for the actual virus.
So you're offering both of those to individuals as well as businesses.
That's right, to individuals and to employers. So employers also can test their employees, but there's not just testing. We're doing a risk assessment. We're then giving them recommendations. Those employees need to commit to behaviors that are going to minimize their risk of becoming infected or infecting others with the COVID-19 virus.
Absolutely.
Yes. So Dr. Diamond, maybe you could talk a little bit about what your,
Personal responsibility program involves limiting yourself to work, home, and essential services, understanding your risk personally, washing hands, perhaps wearing glove and mask at work, as well as when out, right? And of course, inviting that same habit to happen within that household. This allows employees to be able to return to work and know that their coworker has also been cleared. right? Has
Right.
been cleared in the sense that they are following these protocols and that there is daily monitoring. Each employee has to check in with our doctors every single day. If they display
Wow.
any symptoms, they may be asked to not work and be monitored. They may be retested, or it may go further. Perhaps those symptoms are unrelated, and we make a decision that they actually are safe to go to work. But it requires a daily participation by each employee in order for this to work, obviously.
Wow. But I mean, it's good. It sounds like it's very thorough. What is the state of the art with respect to the testing? Because as just, a layperson, I'm trying to scour every bit of information that I have about it. And it seems that some of the testing is unreliable, or maybe there is, a reliable version of a test, but then the resources are hard to get. What's your perspective on the testing right now?
Well, the testing, no testing is perfect. We're following the CDC and FDA guidelines on testing. And we can only work with the tools that we have. Right now there is testing to do nasopharyngeal testing for the virus itself.
Mm-hmm.
That tells you whether or not you have the virus from that test, and are you at risk for infecting others around you. And you kind of can divide it up into 8 categories. There's the virus, whether you yes or no if you have that, and then whether or not you have antibodies, which are the new antibodies we call the IgM, when you're most recently infected and starting to fight the virus.
Mm-hmm.
And then you form over time IgG, which is immunoglobulin for long term. That's what we form when we get a vaccine. For example, we have long-term immunity. If you've gotten the polio vaccine, for example, you have immunoglobulin G, or IgG. So that's the goal, is that you the only way you could really return to work safely is that you are virus negative. So that's number one, right? If you're positive for the nasal pharyngeal swab, you can infect others, right?
Sure,
so you're not going back to work as long as that's in play. But then the immunoglobulin, you want to see IgG, which is a long-term immunity, along with virus negative if you've been exposed. Remember, somewhere in the neighborhood, as far as we know right now, again, this is an ongoing question, there's a lot of people that are infected that have no symptoms at all. They don't even know they're infected.
Right.
And so
in Germany,
yes.
Don't we have like 15% of those all those tested positive for the antibody in some way? That's
different studies show different things. But what we know from the studies we've seen, that there was the Princess Cruise study, there was what was done in Iceland, what was done in Colorado, somewhere between 25 to 50% of people infected have no symptoms.
Wow.
So that's a lot of people. So you need to have confidence. And again, what we're trying to do with COVID-19 Test.EXPERT is give people the opportunity to have some confidence in the people next to them working, that, hey, they've been tested to the best of our ability. Nothing's perfect, but we'll do the best we can. That's why we have to accept that in medicine and in life, to assure confidence that our people are tested and they're doing the behaviors as best as we can have them do those behaviors. They've made a contract and a commitment to being as safe as they can in that workplace. We need to get people back to work. The health damage to not getting people back to work is significant, and that should be emphasized. We need to do the best we can to get people back to work, and that's what COVID Test.EXPERT does. Try to sort out those people who have immunity, that have been exposed, but the virus has now been cleared, and those people that never got exposed and don't have virus as well. So that's the thought there, and that's what we endeavor to do at COVID-19 Test.EXPERT. Max, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I want to clarify who we're actually able and willing to test at this time. Mm-hmm. It is essential workers and their families. It is also individuals that perform essential duties on behalf of their household. If they are the caregiver or the one that needs to go to the grocery store and the pharmacy, right? We are willing to test those individuals.
Right. Okay. Like I'm the guy in the family who's been designated to do all the grocery shopping, and I wear a mask, and I use the sanitary wipes every time I go and come back. But you provide a service actually for the family member who does that?
Or it could also be the caregiver that does it. It may not be family. It may be someone who's your assistant. So whoever is servicing those essential workers also need to be tested because they're another risk of exposure. That's why the risk assessment that we do is so important. It's just not a matter of testing and moving on. You have to do a full risk assessment and mitigate that risk for that essential worker, which includes family and other essential providers to that essential workers' family themselves.
So you'll literally come into small businesses and homes and make an evaluation of what they should do and how they should go forward. As well as the
Exactly.
testing.
Not in homes, right? In
Okay.
business,
Okay.
for the
Okay.
business.
Okay.
So we're-
The people have to come outside the front door, right?
Yes, they
That's
have to come
correct.
outside the front door and be able to close the front door behind them.
Right. I get it.
That's right.
And that's obviously to keep our staff safe as well.
Right.
Okay, so just to clarify, the individuals for whom you're providing the services, they must be either themselves essential workers as deemed by the state of California, or they must be the family member who is shopping or taking care of an essential worker, shopping for or taking care of. Is that right?
No, that they are essential to their household. Every household.
Oh,
has-
and so any household is qualified for you guys. I'm
No,
not less essential than, you
No,
know,
the essential individual for that household, the one that is performing essential duties for that household.
okay.
Or the one having to go to the grocery store and the pharmacy
Right.
repeatedly or to doctor's appointments, and you're that essential individual, we believe you can get tested and should get tested. Right?
Okay.
Very good.
And I think it's important to understand we're not being really restrictive on who decides to be tested, right? If I want to go get tested, then I should be able to be tested as long as I don't have symptoms. So, while we're targeting businesses that are providing essential duties, we're not stopping someone else from being empowered with information either, right? So
Right.
if maybe I'm a restaurant owner and I want to be tested before eventually things get opened back up for me, I can get tested. We shouldn't withhold that information from folks who want to manage their own personal risk or the future risk when things start to open up again.
Well, I know
This may be a wave.
right now we're allowed to do some takeout. And I know that I would go to a restaurant and order some takeout if they were certified along the lines of the type of, combination of testing, risk assessment, best practices for going forward. I would feel more confident ordering takeout from that restaurant now, even before they're allowed to open.
Yeah,
Right.
and those workers will feel more confident as they're working and reporting to work, knowing that all of their coworkers are under the same program.
Exactly. Much better workplace morale.
It's a matter of empowerment and a matter of having information so you can make informed decisions. That's what we're seeking to do. And we welcome others to do what we're doing and more. Like
Right.
we want to get America
Right.
working again, get us back to some level of normalcy, which we enjoyed before all of this happened. That
Right.
requires information and empowerment of people of all types. Of course, we want to prioritize the essential workers and businesses, but we want to empower everybody, really.
Right.
Okay.
And it sounds
So-
like this antibody test is really the key information to getting employers and the government the confidence that at least some people can go back to work. Those who've been exposed and are no longer a threat to people surely should at least be able to go back to work. And that information is just absolutely critical.
It's an important part. It's not all of it, right?
Do you not
The
have the
testing for
antibody
virus is
tests
also
now?
very important.
Do you not have the antibody tests available quite yet?
There are antibody tests available. There are kits that you can get. And that's a changing target every day.
Mhm.
How reliable are those kits?
Right.
Again, that's something that's evolving over time. And science and scientists are working on that. We're going to use what tools we have to the highest reliability that's possible to get it to the community. But that's an evolving technology that's probably going to continue to evolve for years.
So, but that's the biggest challenge then maybe for you right now is to offer reliable antibody tests. Is that the biggest challenge that you have, or what has been your biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge has been waiting for a surplus of test availability. Those that are sick need to be tested first. They are the priority. certain essential workers, police and fire, have been priorities. They remain a priority, and they will remain a priority. And so it has taken time for a surplus of testing to become available. So now we can move that to the asymptomatic population and talk about getting people back to work. And so that's been the biggest challenge, is waiting for the labs to increase capacity or to get their validation, their certification from the government in order to be able to do this.
Right, right. Now, is there anything else that either of you wanted to share, either with potential customers or with policymakers before we wrap up?
We are looking, and well, we welcome any organizations that have resources that can help us to help get America working again. Absolutely. Please contact us through the website at COVID19TEST.EXPERT.
Yes, and I think the other message that I'd like to convey is a message of hope, a message that we will get through this. America has been through other very difficult situations before, and all of us working together, both government, private sector, every individual, doing what they can to make a difference to get people back to a life where they can be thriving. And that's our real goal. And that's what, COVID19TEST.EXPERT is about getting people back to their lives where they thrive. And that's what I would like to see happen. And I want all of us to work together to do that. This is a time not for division, but for us to hold hands together and get our households back running again like they were before. And
Yes.
And even better, I think at the end of this, on the other side of this, America and even the world will be stronger. And
Yes.
I do believe, my mother used to tell me this always, a struggle makes strength. And I do believe that this struggle will end and we will be stronger on the other side. But in the meantime, look around, see what you can do. Max and I and others and Katrina Ling were involved in this project. We simply are looking around and saying, what can we do? And we're doing the best we can. And we welcome others to join hands with us to get America working again.
Thank you very much. And thank you both for your time. Again, everybody, that is COVID19TEST.EXPERT, COVID19TEST.EXPERT. And again, this is the provision of crucial information that everybody as individuals needs, and then of companies, people who are in charge of a bunch of employees and resources that they need to make the best decisions going forward. And that's really, I think, what we have all been lacking. We feel like we've been so much in the dark, and I appreciate that you guys are trying to bring information to bear on this to the best that you can, given your resources. It's very helpful.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And I hope you're very successful with this, because you're taking a big risk yourselves as well. So kudos to you.
No, these guys are the real heroes that are going to get our economy back up and going again. So thank you guys for your time.
Thank you,
Thank you, Amy and James. We're really grateful for the opportunity to share what we can to get America back to work again.
Great.
Thank you.
And I hope to become a customer pretty quick. So watch for me, okay?
First run this Saturday. So
okay, well, beautiful.